Game day brings its ups and downs, celebration and disappointment, anxiety and relief, friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Welcome in Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon on this Tuesday. Recovery continues from significant issues with icing across North Mississippi. We've done a lot of reports today. Again, that ice starting to fall in many locations. I have certain treacheries that go along with that, but I think still, even with that said, a welcome sign where it has occurred, but unfortunately, it has not occurred everywhere out there at this point, and it'll probably take a little time before that is the case. Thank you so much for watching us here in the Room to Room Weather Center and supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. We do have a full broadcast for you this evening, touching base from really all corners of the North Mississippi area. To that note, as we look at the headlines again at 5 o'clock, we are expecting, again, to talk to the folks in Webster County. The emergency manager down there will be on with us here in a minute, Barry Rushing, talking about how things are progressing in the recovery efforts there in the Webster County area. We'll get a live look also from our friends up at Tennessee Valley Weather in the northern part of Tishomingo County. Very, very hard hit. Some of the hardest hit area in the entire region related to this ice storm up there. We'll talk with Sam, with the folks up there at Tennessee Valley Weather here in a minute. And we're going to look at the hard hit portion again of northern Tishomingo County with that. We're going to start, though, looking at a different hard hit location, and that would be in the Washington County area. I want to show you some pictures here, breaking kind of this hour, of a collapse of a gas station. 10 people, according to WLBT out of Jackson, injured in this gas station canopy collapse. You can tell just looking at it that obviously folks were there, likely gassing up. And the heavy weight of the ice and snow on top, just something that canopy could not take. One of the many, many, many impacts that unfortunately have come from this event. These pictures coming from the Greenville Fire Department out there in Washington County. A lot of ways in which that could go sideways. We don't have that kind of ice and snow in many locations around here, but obviously for some spots that is an issue. Certainly the Delta, the most likely spots for that. But I mean, 10 folks injured, again, according to the people down at WLBT in Jackson. You can just kind of see the layers of ice there and the melting, and just, well, it's not good. And so our prayers for those folks this evening related to that there. I do want to go up here to a live shot, this coming from the northern portion of Tishomingo County. Again, our friends, we talked about this before at Tennessee Valley Weather. They are up there at this point. This is Sam Camp with Tennessee Valley Weather. We haven't got a whole lot of pictures there out of the northern Tishomingo County yet. Sam, you had the drone up there today, and I mean, those trees, significant damage.
Oh yes, I mean, I went first to Waterloo, Alabama, which was in the northwest corner of Alabama, and then I hopped my way down the Trace and made my way over to Tishomingo County. And as soon as I crossed into Mississippi, I could definitely tell that the intensity of the ice storm picked up dramatically as I entered into areas like Iuka and then Burnsville. But I mean, my live shot here that you can see in front of me, this is just dozens, if not hundreds of trees out here on the north side of Iuka and northern Tishomingo County that are either bent over or halfway up, branches all over the ground, just from the sheer weight of the extreme ice accumulation that came through here this weekend. I mean, this to me looks more like tornado damage and not ice storm or winter storm damage. This is just insane, and this is just a little peek at what I have seen throughout the entire, pretty much parts of the entire county today.
Man, I mean, we're looking at your drone shot as well at the same point here, and it is sad. You know, we talked to, Brett Adair, another noted storm chaser around the region, when he was coming into Tishomingo County for the first time near the Burnsville area a couple days ago. I mean, he's blown away by the tree damage up there. I mean, he said it looked like some of the most significant icing he's seen, and I mean, he's been everywhere, man.
Yes, I watch some of Brett's stuff. I'm friends with Brett. I mean that some of his stuff out of like North Mississippi area is just insane. I have never experienced anything like this in my lifetime, but I'm only a sophomore in college. But I mean this is just insane on an entirely different level. And I'll move the camera around just a little bit just to show a little bit more of the damage. But I mean it's just all the same up here. There's power poles up and down this county road that I'm on. There's power poles up and down it that are completely snapped, just trees laying over the lines. And you'll just step outside and it's not silent. There's no like, you can hear a hum of a generator every now and then, but you'll mainly hear just ice hitting the ground, trees like wood snapping, branches hitting the ground, just things falling over, very very eerie sounds that you'll hear just out in the middle of Tishomingo County. And then I heard that as well in Northwest Alabama today, but even here so more than in Northwest Alabama. But this is the most amount of ice accumulation I've ever seen.
You know, some melting occurring today. It doesn't look like, I mean, from those shots there, I say some melting. I don't know that you would qualify that to be the case that far north in Tishomingo County. I don't know that we've really got that far above the freezing point. I mean, that looks like it's going to be, at least a couple more days before things start to clear up. But I think that the telling sign, you don't have really any connection there you have Starlink. That's the only way you even have any kind of cell phone connection at this point here. We've got points, people are probably cut off from the outside. Would you agree?
Yes. So I have been operating ever since I left the house this morning. I have been operating off of my Starlink dish and have not even been attempting to use any of my cell service internet because I just was fearful that that would just be going in and out. So I've just stuck with Starlink satellite internet to keep me connected today. But I'm looking at my phone right now and I have 0 bars on Verizon or AT&T. I'm just in I have a cell service booster built into this truck and no cell service at all. So I'm operating solely off of satellite internet. But I mean, I spoke with a few individuals today on the south side of Iuka and that owned a veterinary clinic. I forgot the name of it, but they are operating all their operations off of generator power right now. And they were in the process of removing tree debris from their property where trees had just split like a banana peel on the ground. But this is nothing short of incredible and a very historic event for the region. And as far
Absolutely.
as temperatures and melting today, um, my car thermometer right now is reading 33. But when I rolled into Tishomingo County on Highway 72, and then when I was on 25 north, I think it is, when I was on that road heading north, I was only at 35 and 36 degrees with full sunshine, I might add. I mean, there was a lot of water, but with this amount of ice, it's going to take a few days of that to really get rid of this ice, especially in areas that do not see direct sunlight.
Absolutely. That's Samuel Camp with the folks up at Tennessee Valley Weather, a partner of us here on the National Weather Network. Thank you so much for taking time for joining us here on Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Pray you have safe travels back there, of course, up closer to the Lawrenceburg area. Give Ben my regards.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, y'all too. Okay, so we kind of bring things back here. You'll notice that temperatures, we talked about this a minute ago, in the 30s for most spots. We did get above freezing. One of the things put out by the folks in Oxford, we talked to Oxford Mayor Robin Tannehill earlier on today, encourage folks to let those faucets drip some and turn the drip off, because we've been doing that because there had been water pressure issues also in New Albany as well. I think a lot of these water cooperatives were going to have those issues where we've really kind of drained down some of the water towers because of the dripping, trying to keep faucets from pipes from freezing. Encouraged during the day, the next couple of days, to turn those off. And at night, once we get to a late enough portion, obviously that's something we would probably need to consider. Another major impact ongoing tonight, we go to Panola County. And in Panola County, an advisory coming out just a little bit ago that the northbound lanes in particular of I-55 there in Panola County completely stopped. That's because the road conditions are just so bad. We talked to the folks at MDOT earlier today about the road conditions. Again, encouraging folks there in the Delta, in far north Mississippi, to not travel until at least a little while longer. The roads are still in pretty bad shape. Even main thoroughfares like I-55, like US 72, as you saw with Chris Brown, Northern District Public Service Commissioner, a little bit earlier on this afternoon. Just we should not be traveling on those roadways. They are too dangerous still at this point. And, if I go up here toward the Memphis area and just on I-22, I'll see if we can find any that still have power. Let's come up close there. I mean, look at this. This is, just about at the new road there, 269 and I-22. Look how slow these truckers are going. These truckers, they're not from Mississippi. A lot of these people go all over the country, so they know what it takes. And you can see that they are creeping on I-22. Look pretty similar to what some of those folks had up north. We did have a window earlier today where conditions were more manageable to get out and try to get from point A to point B. That window has now closed and temperatures are dropping, and these roads will get icy once again as we head overnight. So some serious concerns as far as that is concerned related to our overall forecast. As we bring things back here into the room-to-room weather center for a moment, again, those temperatures around the freezing point at this time. As we look at your forecast of the Mississippi Live Weather Radar, no precipitation out there. And as we tried to kind of allude to on multiple occasions recently, there is no next round as far as winter weather is concerned. In saying that, this icon you might not see very often. This indicates fog. We do expect we're going to have some fog overnight. Our meteorologist Gabe Mann will talk a lot more about this coming up, but that fog could be frozen fog. What is frozen fog or freezing fog? It's water droplets that make up fog suspended in the air that then freeze when they hit surfaces. So you go to use your windshield wipers and just kind of freezes straight across. So that could lead to a potential for some roadways to become a little bit more difficult to travel. I do want to bring Gabe in on this for here a moment because you've been looking at this very, very closely. 22 calm winds, the moisture we have, very much a possibility this could be an impact for some locations here across North Mississippi, right?
Yeah, on top of the fact that we still have that water, the ice melting and getting on those roadways tonight. I mean, I just saw some pictures up there in Corinth and the roads still look just as hazardous as they did a couple of days ago because that snow, that ice, that sleet has only had short periods of time throughout the day to melt. And of course, that sunshine helping do damage as well. But as that all melts throughout the day, will refreeze at night due to the extreme temperatures that we're seeing. I mean, it's better than this morning, but 22 degrees is still a very cold forecast. Whenever we still have that moisture on the ground and we have moisture with the fog, that unfortunately will result in some of those droplets forming some refreezing on those roadways. Even in some locations that thought they were out of the woods and those roads have been pretty clear, we could see some of that black ice potential in the forecast due to that fog there at the surface. And as we take a look at that forecast, we can see some of that cloud cover building in there from Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. That'll continue to move its way east into the overnight hours, maybe even bring a few showers down there towards Jackson, closer to I-20. But nonetheless, here in North Mississippi, with the moisture in the forecast, that'll give us the chance at least a little bit of that patchy fog come Tuesday night and really into your Wednesday morning. So big driver in our forecast from here on out is going to be that cold front, bringing in high pressure behind it, but not going to really be felt until later on into our Wednesday and Thursday. But there you're getting a look. Some of these clouds that are still at the surface by 8 a.m., these aren't actually clouds. That's that patchy fog that's at the surface. That's going to be paired with temperatures below freezing and potentially having that freezing element as well. So if we look through the day, 22 degrees to start, upping to about 43 degrees by the afternoon. So above freezing once again should help melt a little bit more. Hopefully all of it for some spots, but we do know that it does have a thick layer of ice that it has to get through in order for those clearer and better conditions to be in the forecast. So one of the questions that came up yesterday, Matt, was, is there going to be some sense of normalcy over the next couple of days? Well, temperatures, of course, need to be above freezing for that normalcy to be reached. And of course, we are tracking that tomorrow afternoon, but even for a few more days heading into that extended forecast, we'll look at that in much more detail here on Mississippi Live Weather at 5 in the next 60.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Frozen pipes can cause serious damage. That's why Absolute Restoration is giving away free faucet covers to our community while supplies last. Installing them is easy. Just slide the foam sleeve over your outdoor faucet and secure it snugly. Also remember to disconnect hoses, open cabinet doors under sinks, and let faucets drip during extreme cold. Call or text to check availability, and from our family to yours, please stay warm and protected.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Well, still some icicles coming from our 4-county electric tower there in the Mabin area. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather here at 5 p.m. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon, joined via phone with Barry Rushing, who is the emergency manager there in Webster County, a place pretty hard hit like a lot of other locations here across North Mississippi. Barry, thank you so much for joining us on Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Yes, sir.
So how are conditions progressing there in Webster County? I know that there have been some issues over the last couple of days, obviously, like so many other folks. How are things going?
Things are looking up right now. Most of it has melted off today, and yesterday and day before it was tough. Had a lot of ice, a lot of roads blocked, a lot of trees down, a lot of limbs down in the road and everything. So everything is looking pretty good for the most part. We have all our roads open back up,
and no real water issues or anything like that. I know that's to the north. That's been more of an issue for a lot of spots where you've had things freeze up like that. But you guys haven't had those sort of water issues or anything, have you?
We have had a few water issues. Webster Center Water Association is having a generator hooked up in the morning and put on it, and also U4 I had one to go down, and luckily we got electricity to get it back up and going, and power companies are working hard as they can and as safe as they can to get everything and everybody hooked back up. So maybe everybody will be patient.
Yeah, I mean that's what it takes. Everybody's got to be patient because this is not a swift process here. I show on my system here about 1,000 outages. As far as power outages are concerned, does that seem pretty consistent with what you're looking at?
It does. I think yesterday evening they had like 3,800, I want to say, and it's looking a lot better on that side also. We're doing what we can to help the people and help the power companies and keeping the roads clean and checking on the elderly people and anyone else that needs checking on, and trying to keep everybody safe and warm. We have a warming shelter open. It's at the Civic Center in Eupora on Roland Avenue. So if anyone needs to go there, they can go there. If they don't have a ride there, we can probably arrange to get them a ride there. So we're doing all we can to help.
So you mentioned the Civic Center there in Eupora, warming shelter at this point here for folks there. If they were going to try to contact somebody to get there, if they couldn't get there, and I don't know how many people that would involve, but how would they contact you?
You could put my number out there. It would be fine.
Okay, go and give that to me real quick. I'll put that right on the screen so they can see it.
Okay, 662. 552. 7007.
Okay, that's 662-552-7007.
Correct.
Okay, and so that would be for folks, especially if we're talking about homebound elderly that cannot get out, feel like the temperatures are too cold, that they're worried that they could have serious health issues. That's the number they should call. Again, you have a warming shelter. How many people do you have a lot of people utilizing that warming shelter?
I have a few right now. I'm not sure how many. I haven't been by there in a while, but I do know it's being used. Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure that it's you're all over the county trying to coordinate so many things like this. Ice storms. You guys have had your fair share of tornadoes over the years as well. There, how does an ice storm compare to that for you, or is this something that is somewhat manageable?
Well, ice storm is to me pretty close to a tornado. It looks like a lot of it mainly affects the timber and stuff and trees and power lines, and we've been fortunate not any structures reported damaged. But if you get out and ride and look, it does look like trees broken down with tops broken out of them and everything, kind of resembling the tornado has been through there.
So are roads good enough for people to travel through most parts of the county at this point?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Okay, great. That's excellent to hear. Well, anything else you want to add?
I just, everybody stay safe and stay warm and never touch a down power line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never want to assume. It's electricity is one of those things that you respect, I think, very, very much after you see what it can do. So I appreciate you so much for talking with us here, giving us an update there on Webster County. Barry Rushing, the emergency manager there in Webster County, joining us on Mississippi Live at 5. As I told you, I think a text message before, I'm in the middle of severe weather tornado coverage. You've got something that you think could save a life. You just go ahead and give me a call there, and we'll see if we can answer it. Sound good?
Okay, thank you, Matt.
I appreciate you so much. Bye. So things again getting better there in Webster County. Not the case in all locations. Well, in all locations it's getting better. It just takes some time there. So Gabe, as we look again at those power outages you see behind you there in some parts of the area, they do continue to go down, despite the fact that many folks probably are still wishing they would go down a little more quickly.
Yeah, it's just a slow but steady process, unfortunately. And, I feel like the reason why we saw significant changes earlier on, and you're looking at thousands being fixed, is because that was a single source that was impacting several different homes. Whereas now that single source is for a single home, and that's where we're getting those numbers changing by smaller amounts compared to what we saw earlier on this week. But power crews are still out there. They're working hard. They are going to be in for a well-deserved break, hopefully at some point later on this week. But that's as they restore all of those power lines that still need restored. So if you are not in any of those polygons, I do encourage you to contact your power cooperative so they can get out there to you and so you can stay warm in these cold temperatures. I mean, take a look at this morning. 90 degrees Holly Springs, and even around Benton County, we were still getting some of those temperatures in the single digits. 12 in Tupelo, 16 Eupora, 28 in Greenwood. That's not too bad. But 20 Belzona, a lot of teens showing up, and the single digits are definitely what stands out. Wind chills took some locations into the negatives. So folks, it was a cold morning, an uncharacteristically cold morning, but with the power being out, especially up along the Tennessee state line, definitely was cause for concern with this cold weather overhead. Temperatures this afternoon, there are a few locations below freezing, including Cleveland and Tunica, the rest of us sitting at or above freezing. So things have definitely trended in the right direction. Finally enjoying temperatures we have not seen about 4 or 5 days. It's been quite some time. And to pair that with our clear conditions on our Mama Justice Doppler radar, that is a pretty good forecast for a Tuesday afternoon. All of the sunshine being seen right now, that's what's allowing for the melting process to take place. And again, big fan of that in our forecast. What we're seeing right now in our satellite imagery, if I expand things out, you're basically getting all of this moisture pushing into North Mississippi, and all of that moisture is going to be attached to some cloud cover, but also to some patchy fog, which with temperatures dropping tonight, could cause concern for some freezing fog. So your day planner, as we take a look at that in the next couple of hours, 30 degrees by 7, 27 by 9. So unfortunately not going to be above freezing for long, and we're dropping into the mid-20s. They're closer to 11. Mostly cloudy conditions do continue to remain in place, but nonetheless, it's not as bad as things have been. So as we keep going with this forecast into Futurecast, you can see that it is going to be a calm night, all things considered, but that cloud cover does move in and play a big part in where things go overnight. That's going to primarily be cloud cover for the first half of our nighttime hours, but as we get more into those early AM hours of our Wednesday, that's where the fog will start to form. And I know it's hard to see right here, but we'll really see it here in just a moment. But that cloud is basically blanketing our sky, but at the surface, we're getting our own clouds, and that's going to be with that patchy, freezing fog developing. That continues for the start of our Wednesday, and again, we'll look at it in just a moment, how that fog kind of burns out of the area. But here's what that fog is being paired with. 21 degrees Tupelo, 22 Eupora, 23 Greenwood, and even teens up there towards Senatobia, South Haven, and Holly Springs. So it's a cold night, it's below freezing. Pair that with the moisture, that's where we get that term freezing fog, meaning that those water droplets in the fog could get on those surfaces or even on those cars and potentially cause some of those thin layers of ice for a hazardous morning commute. Wind chill, not going to be much of a factor. Actually, that's the big reason why our forecast does take us into those foggier conditions, is because of that moisture in the air, allowing it to be there because of the lack of winds. Drop off going to be at 21 degrees, lunch 35, and then by that final bell into the low 40s. So your Wednesday trending so much better than today, and today trended better than yesterday. So we are continuing that upward trend into the midweek portion of our work week. And again, no complaints here. All right, as we get into our Wednesday morning forecast, we do have those foggy conditions still overhead. We have this cold front that's extending across North Mississippi. That front dissipates out, but watch how this fog dissipates out throughout the day. You almost see how it burns up just a bit in some locations and leaves us with some clear skies by the afternoon. Starting to see that break up just a bit by those lunchtime hours, and there's where you're getting some clearing there by lunchtime. So not going to be shocked at all if we do get some of those dense fog advisories later on tonight, waiting on the National Weather Service to discuss the potential of that. But if it's issued or not, we need to understand fog is going to be a concern as we head out the door Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, a beautiful forecast in store for North Mississippi, so we don't have to worry about that fog forever. It's going to be a superb forecast, especially with temperatures being warmer than where they have been. I highly recommend you make some plans outside to enjoy all these great conditions. At 5 o'clock, still enjoying mostly clear skies, and that'll carry over into the evening hours as well. Looking at high temperatures on your Wednesday, like I mentioned, trending in the right direction. 44 Tupelo, 47 Eupora, Starkville, 48 Columbus and Macon. Still seeing upper 30s South Haven, Senatobia, and Holly Springs. Big reason why. There's still a good bit of ice on the ground up there, and that's going to basically reflect that sunshine, not allow it to get to the surface to warm us up. That's why those temperatures are noticeably different than the rest of North Mississippi. As we keep that futurecast going throughout your Wednesday night, staying dry and clear once again. So Wednesday night, those midweek services, if they are having it, if your church is back in service mode, then of course that is going to be a beautiful forecast for it. We do know there are a few spots that are still trying to clean up, and we understand, and our prayers are with you. Hopefully that normalcy will be back sooner rather than later. Our Thursday morning, starting off with those dry conditions once again with that patchy cloud cover building into the area, potentially for some patchy fog as well, and low temperatures still being well into the teens in Bruce, Water Valley, and Senatobia. If there is any fog that does form, potential for freezing fog is once again on the table. 21 Tupelo, 23 Golden Triangle. It's going to be a cold forecast for the start of our Thursday. I do not want to overlook that, but I do want to note that those temperatures Thursday morning will still be better than what we had this morning here on our Tuesday. Futurecast into your Thursday showing those dry conditions still overhead, and you can really get a visual on that fog again with that cloud cover or fog receding into the out west. So that's where we're getting that fog kind of building out of the area and not expecting it to stick around throughout the afternoon. This is going to be primarily cloud cover that remains overhead Thursday afternoon into the evening and continuing into those overnight hours. Now, I know you're seeing it, and I do not want you to be alarmed. There is some chance at moisture out there towards Arkansas. This is not going to play a part in our forecast. This is our strike model, which is on the more aggressive side, and it's trying to get some light showers in here, but no, that is not going to verify, Matt. This is.
Well, we're already 27 minutes into this. Make your pitch as to why, and let's look at some other stuff while we're talking about it.
It's just, well, of course, the moisture. Well, the moisture's there. It is. But whenever we're talking about that movement, what this is going to be attached to is a front that's going to impact our temperatures come Friday. And I put 10% on there. So I don't think a flurry is impossible. But I know folks that have already received ice are looking at this thinking, oh no, there's round 2 moving into the area. And that's what I really want to push is the fact that this is not going to be accumulating. This at most will be a few flakes you see in the sky, but it's not going to carry over. And I'm actually going to take it through those early AM hours. And there's your extent. Way too aggressive on the strike model, the HRRR model, not even tracking any moisture in Arkansas. Neither is the GFS or the Euro. So not really concerned with this whenever we're talking about the latest trends, but this definitely would catch someone's attention and think, oh no, part 2 is going to happen. Not expecting that with this setup.
Well, I'm going to bring back here to the mobile room-to-room weather center for a second. Let's bring it and take a look. So that's the strike model. And yes, I agree with Gabe. It is a little too rough. This would be the NAM, the North American Mesoscale. And I went to look for ice fall accumulations on this, basically freezing rain accumulations, what we just had. And you can see while it's not 100% zero, it has virtually nothing on this there. So, I mean, I see zeros when I look at that. So even look at the precipitation type, it does have some kind of a glancing blow there where it tries to do something. It's just a little bit, that's as aggressive as we can go. And if I just kind of throw out 10-to-1 snowfall ratio, we've kind of had these odd rogue flakes the last couple of days, not impossible to have a few of those with this. So as far as the next round is concerned, we just went through something historic. If there are flakes with this, it's more picturesque, nuisance, issues where we already have problems. I don't think it's the kind that will necessarily have massive impact. In saying that, though, Gabe, I think, again, the chance is not zero, but this is no round 2. If what we just experienced was round 1, this is round. You know how you watch the Super Bowl and then you've got the Puppy Bowl? They're both bowl games taken on the same day. This is the Puppy Bowl. We just went through the Super Bowl.
That's a fair assessment. No, GFS was one of the models that, picked up on that 10%. And this is where I would still have it as 10% because of the potential for a couple flurries, but that's really it. The Euro, and you're a Euro apologist, had nothing. So I think that's a note, is there are still some inconsistencies, and this is just 3 days out. Last week when we were tracking a 3 days out forecast, confidence was at a level 4 and level 5. So
we knew it was going to happen. We knew it was going to be big, and we're banging the drum as loud as we could. Listen, I mean, if I were sitting there without power, I understand some nervousness with this as well. But I wouldn't call this a zero chance. And the strike did lead to a certain extent on some things last week as well. So I'm not going to throw it out yet. Yeah. But to say that it should be a glance, even if you go back on that, just I'll go back here for a second on that. One of the takeaways I have just looking at this is, even if strike is right, I'll have to give this a second to populate in because we got the full bar on the bottom. But even if strike is right on this, right? Notice how this is fast-moving, glancing blow sort of stuff, right? That is, if you look at when it started Arkadelphia there, that'd be 5 p.m. on Thursday, and it had it out of there by, say, 1 a.m. Friday morning, so 6 hours, even if it were as aggressive as this is. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. But again, that's something we'll be watching. We did have a percentage in there for this time period last week, first part of the weekend. So we've been watching it. Mm-hmm. It's just expectations are maybe flakes, but this is not an icing situation. This is no round 2.
And the round 2 that folks may have seen was actually a Gulf low that is typically our setup for any winter precipitation. That is not trending our direction whatsoever. And so that was what a lot of folks may have seen on social media last week, thinking, oh no, it's round 2 moving into the area. No, that never verified, and it's well into the Gulf, moving well off there towards our east where the highest impacts will be expected. Here in North Mississippi, it is going to be a calmer forecast. Like I mentioned, a few flakes possible, but not exactly high on those outputs. High temperatures Thursday. This is a big reason why we're not high on those outputs. We're still in the mid to upper 40s across North Mississippi, and hopefully this will kind of take out any of the last remaining ice accumulations that we've been having the past couple of days. We're hopeful that continues to get out of the area. But if we look at that AM temperature forecast, these do not get better for long. As you can see, 21 Wednesday, 20 Thursday, 26 by Friday. But then our next frontal system moves in attached to that moisture, and that's dropping these temperatures back into the teens for Saturday and Sunday. Not just teens, but low teens. And so unfortunately, that cold air will be sticking around. And Matt, I think this might advance. Yes, it did exactly that. But we can see it on the 7-day either way. The cold air is...
We'll go back. We'll go back real quick, and might have to stop, and I might have to take it into play mode so it does that. But, looking at this, these numbers are a little higher than they were a couple of days ago. If we're talking about some positive news here, and it'll take it a second for this to kind of load in, those numbers are considerably higher than they were a couple of days ago. So that's an improvement. The less cold air, I do think, again, less snowfall to the north kind of help that out a little bit. But 26 on Friday, major improvement from what we were looking at earlier in the week.
Yeah, and one of the things that you were talking to me about yesterday was, we were talking so much about this morning's low temperatures and how significant they would be. But, normally, if we were in a normal pattern, 20 degrees is a very cold forecast. So I don't want folks to overlook that and think, that's a summer vacation. It is trending better, but it's still going to be in the 20s. And so I do want folks to still be layered up and prepared. But just Saturday and Sunday, seeing low teens once again possible, similar to what we had this morning. I just want folks to continue to be prepared as we get advanced in that forecast. But Thursday and Friday, that's where we're tracking the potential for some of those flakes. And of course, once we get into that weekend forecast, drier conditions are in place, along with that dry air allowing for these temperatures to significantly drop. So this weekend, similar temperatures, but fortunately not a similar forecast. We're staying dry. We just are going to be in a very cold state. Heading into next week, we are tracking some midweek rainfall chances, but overall going to be a much calmer pattern. And as these temperatures remain above freezing for at least the next couple of afternoons, that will make things better and hopefully clear out what's left from this weekend. It was such a welcome sight seeing the sunshine and the warm temperatures, just allowing that ice to fall. Matt, you posted a video saying, look up. Very fitting, because the ice was falling left and right. So we hope that you guys continue to stay safe. You continue to stay warm. We hope that the ice is cleared out, allowing those workers to get in there. But yeah, definitely grateful to be in a better state of mind heading into midweek.
Absolutely. Less frozen and honestly, a less high-end impact as well. Okay, coming up here during our 6 o'clock broadcast, we'll hopefully be talking again to the folks in Calhoun County. Calhoun County, we're trying to get better here. Randy Skinner there. We'll talk to the emergency manager during our 6 o'clock broadcast. Give you an update on Prentiss County as well. It looks as though more of the water wells are all working. So a lot of things trending in the right direction. I know still a lot of cold people out there. We'll, of course, talk more about this coming up at 6 p.m. in the Room to Room Weather Center. Keep it here for the latest. Like, subscribe. And by the way, tell your friends to like and subscribe if you're so willing, so we can keep this thing free and run along. We'll see you at 6.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.